Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Live with NORML. I'm J.M. Padini, the Development Director for the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. It's Friday, September 6th, 2024. You know what that means, friends? It's time for me to answer all of your burning questions live. Hey, take a quick second to hit that like, follow, or subscribe button wherever you're watching. Drop a note in the comments. Let us know where you are. And let me know what questions you've got this week. We're going to talk about all the things that happened last week in cannabis news, policy, science, you name it. Let's talk about it. Someone on Instagram is watching us from Indonesia, and I love that so much. I can't show Instagram comments in this feed, but I can show your comments if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, usually. But hi to everyone. Hi. Hello, everyone who just joined us on Instagram. Thank you so much. Hello to Sire in Delaware. I see your comment. Hey, Ideal in New York. Thanks for joining us, specifically in Manhattan, even better. I'm sorry, New York City, which I guess someone could be using NYC to not mean Manhattan specifically, but you know, the other boroughs count too. Hey, someone on Seeds of Kismet on Instagram, also they're in Virginia, is asking about the licensing lottery that just happened yesterday in Virginia for the remaining medical license. It didn't actually happen behind closed doors. It is recorded. I mean, it did, but it was also recorded and published. It won't, links don't work on Instagram like that, but you can see that if you go to the CCA website. I'll publish it on Virginia Women's Facebook, and you can find the link there. But it was a real lottery. There were 33 applicants that scored the highest level that could be scored. Those all went into a list that was uploaded in a public lottery, so meaning the public can view the whole lottery process on random.org, and then they posted it. They did accept public comments. I attended the webinar. They did accept public comments. There weren't a lot. Hi, Laurel. I see you. Hi, Nick in Pennsylvania. Hi, Ryan in Virginia. Hey, Ben. Hey, Woodyard. Periscope, like as in Periscope, the old social media platform. Hi, Jennifer, watching from Florida. Yes, on 3. We're going to talk about some Florida adjacent stuff in a minute. It's kind of at the top of the list. Hey, Charlie. Indeed, finally, right? Good job, Virginia. Ben, you enjoy trolling them. Go right ahead. Hey, Kellyanne in Pittsburgh. Hello, Insulin. Yes, Ellie, there is a licensee for that Virginia Health Service area now. No scratch off tickets were involved in that lottery, Christopher. Um, hey, John, watching from Cleveland. Good to see you. Hey, Mike, welcome back. Okay, I'm learning so many things today. Hi, Candace in Texas. Hi, Savoy in Columbia, Maryland. Um, I do not believe Maryland's law currently permits for consumption venues, but we can double check that on the NORML website. I bet, I bet, I bet someone like Chris or Wade would love to go look at the Maryland page on the adult use laws section of our website and let me know while I'm watching so I can tell you. Uh, Sire, I know, Sire. Sire, you can email me directly at normal@normal.org or at chapters@normal.org if you want to talk about that directly. Um, yes, can Normal help Indonesia to change Indonesia cannabis laws? We have a ton of resources that you can use regardless of where you are. I recommend checking out the Normal fact sheets. It's a great place to start. Um, just go to the Normal website and search fact sheets. My opinion on distilling becoming home distilling, great that people can distill alcohol at home. I guess I wasn't aware, and I didn't really spend any time thinking about it, but that seems cool. Hey, Sand in Colorado. Hey, Smokin' in Florida. So we're talking about Florida. Hi, Zeno in Oklahoma. Hi, Dr. Cannabis in Michigan. Wow, you all, there's so many of you here today. Sands, no, there's nothing new happening in Georgia. Hi, Macklemore in Nevada. Happy Friday, Troy. Candace on Instagram is asking if the laws in Texas are going to get any better. They can, but you have to legislate that. First of all, elections have consequences. So if you keep electing, not you personally, but Texas, if Texas keeps electing people who are terrible in cannabis policy, Texas will continue to get terrible cannabis policy. However, you do have a medical cannabis program, teacup, and there's plenty of room for improvement there. And that is where I definitely recommend focusing your efforts at the statewide level. Just continue to make improvements, even when they're minor, even when they're not sexy. That's okay. As long as you're moving forward, that's great. Increase access, increase product availability, things like that. And then you, of course, I'm sure are aware, Candace, of the number of local initiatives that have been very successful with voters in Texas when it comes to depenalization of like local marijuana possession ordinances or lowest level priority type ordinances that pass. Those are great. Ground Game Texas has a few of those running. You can see them all on NORML's Election Central. Woof, wow. That's the name. Hi, and they say on Instagram, Native American tribes are doing great work. I agree. Cherokee being the most recent one to do some significant work, and then in Wisconsin, there was some action this week as well. Macklemore asking about writing your thesis. Yeah, you can email me directly at normal@normal.org and just say JM, and there's a few there's only a few of us at Normal. We'll all see it, but if you say, hey JM, I wanted to ask you this question, then they'll know that I'm the one responding to it. Will North Carolina budge with Cherokee's legalization? I don't know that in and of itself is going to be particularly impactful. I think first and foremost, your issue in North Carolina is elections. They have consequences, and you're living that. But you can, I think in North Carolina, progress in your medical access is top of the list. That's something you can do. And it doesn't have to be a big, huge, sexy bill. It doesn't have to be everything. It has to be something to get started. Sand, if you want to get involved in Atlanta, also just email me. MK Brink asking about Virginia dispensaries in the portion of the state that doesn't have any yet. How long will it take for the processing facility and dispensaries to be up and running? So they have a year. They have a year to get their first facility operational. I know that they're going to want to do that as soon as possible. Now, once they get the initial permit for the processing facility, even if it's not fully operational, they can then open the retail section there. And the good news is that they're allowed to retail each other's products, so they all do sell each other's products, but that way they can sell other, the other products in the state and up until and before they have their own products ready to go. So we'll see. Dank Matter, I think you're asking about Virginia is licensing for cultivation only for medical. Yes, and medical licensing in Virginia right now is really all in one. Technically, the cannabis dispensing facilities don't have to be entirely owned by the pharmaceutical processor. That's the stupid language for a medical cannabis company that the state uses, but they are. It's because anyhow, it's vertically integrated. We'll just leave it at that. Could there be expansion of this program? Absolutely. Is the current administration favorable to that? Not at all. So expect to see a bill for some type of expansion in the next legislative session, but a bill that uses the existing, a bill that could succeed a real world bill is one that uses the existing structure and just makes some improvements to expand licensing opportunity there. I don't think this administration will sign it, though. That's just my thought. Zeno on Instagram asked, who does NORML recommend apply to go to the DEA hearing December 4th for rescheduling? Do you mean as a named party or just to go and watch? I have so many questions today. I love it. And so many screens to look at. So I'm sorry, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, that I haven't caught up with you yet, but I'm looking right now. Nick, thank you for, I feel like, Nick, we saw this. We talked about this before. And I don't have it on my list of events, but I think it's on NORML's Facebook. Okay, anyhow, there's a lobby day in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania next week. Nick, give me more details since I don't have a producer today and I don't want to go look it up. Thanks. Do that. Okay, thanks. I'm fairly certain I added the event to NORML's Facebook, but I'm terribly afraid, maybe I can look on my phone. I'm terribly afraid that if I open it, it's gonna get some kooky reverb when I start talking to me. You know what I mean? There it is. Let's see if no, I don't want to switch to NORML. Let's see if I can do it on my phone. Thank you for bringing that up, Nick, though. Appreciate it. Jennifer has a question. Jennifer says on Twitter, I was asked if only one company will be growing in Florida. I just moved from South Carolina. I'm not sure about that. No, Jennifer, Florida has many medical cannabis companies already existing, and Amendment 3, which is on the ballot, the constitutional amendment on the ballot this November to legalize adult use, would allow adult use sales to begin at the already licensed, already operating medical cannabis dispensaries in Florida. which is what happens when states expand from medical to adult use. In every state now, except for Virginia, they begin sales at existing operators. Then the amendment also allows permits, as if you will, the state to legislate a new licensing process for adult use, but it doesn't require it. It's narrowly drafted like this because of the single subject rule. That's what it does. So no, not one company. Hi, Greg in Oregon. Hi, Brian in North Carolina. Christopher, so we keep talking about this on our weekly staff meetings. The hearing happens to be occurring while the NORML Key West legal seminar is happening. So Paul, Keith, and Randy and I will all be in Florida for the seminar. Morgan will be in DC. So we are currently of the belief that Morgan will be attending and hopefully able to live tweet from the hearing. Thanks for asking. Dr. Ken on Instagram asked if cannabis is rescheduled to Schedule 3, will it affect adult use? No. No, it won't. It won't affect medical use either. From a consumer standpoint, it won't do anything. It's a cultivation cup in November. Okay. In Virginia. Feel free to tell me more. Hi, Samuel. I can see your comment, but I haven't read it yet. Kellyanne, email me. Kellyanne asking about Pittsburgh, email me, normal@normal.org. Just say, hey, JM, question, and I'll respond. Ben, thank you for bringing this up. Ben on YouTube says, need facts on the increase of cannabis usage over the past 10 years to counter this week's popular prohibition advocates report. So it's interesting when you first of all, reading is fundamental. And when you ask people, do you use cannabis? And it's illegal, even if someone uses cannabis, they're not likely to say yes. You know, just like they're not likely to call their vet if marijuana is illegal where you live and your dog eats an edible. You're less likely to call the vet if you think you're going to potentially risk a criminal penalty. The same thing with accidental ingestion of cannabis products. People are less likely to call poison control or to seek healthcare when cannabis is illegal because they're afraid of legal consequences. Now, same thing goes for surveys. If you're afraid of legal consequences, you may not answer honestly, but when laws change, when cannabis use is normalized and legalized, people will answer more honestly. So that's one thing that contributes to the increase in yes answers in these surveys. The other thing that increases yes answers is legal access. Not just that it is legal, so they're not afraid to answer the question honestly, but then they're also able to go to the store. So maybe they didn't use cannabis before because it was illegal and they weren't sure about it, but now it is legal, or maybe they have a medical certification, whatever it is. Laws are changing. Of course, more people are saying yes. More people who are not saying yes, though, are youth, and that's really super important. These cherry-picked, I don't even want to, the spin on these facts about, cannabis use is increasing. Okay, well, laws change, get over it. But it's not increasing for youth, and we've reported on that a lot in recent weeks. I just wanted to find one story. I didn't have to scroll far. This one is from August 26th. And Ben, am going to drop that in the comments now. Sorry, you won't be able to see the link on Instagram because it don't be like that, but this one is. So YouTube and Facebook and whatever, Twitter, you'll see that. There you go. Paul wrote a great op-ed about this and talks through a lot of this. Talks about the Center for Disease Control and their findings that indicate high schoolers who consume cannabis fell 26% over the past decade. And then HHS has its own survey, that's the National Survey on Drug Use and Health. Those aged 12 to 17 fell 18% from 2014 to 2023. The number of teens reporting current marijuana use fell by 19%. JAMA Pediatrics similarly concludes that, quote, marijuana use among youth may actually decline after legalization for recreational purposes since, quote, it's more difficult for teenagers to obtain marijuana as drug dealers are replaced by licensed dispensaries that require proof of age, end quote. And to that I say, duh. Anyhow, we got your facts. Go get them, Ben. Yes, Virginia has personal cultivation. Hey, Evan. Yeah, there is. In fact, there is. So there has been legislation introduced over and over again that would end federal prohibition. When we talk about federal legalization, that means to remove marijuana from the Federal Controlled Substances Act and allow states to set their own policies without threat of federal interference. This would be analogous to alcohol or tobacco because neither alcohol nor tobacco are scheduled. This is national legalization is descheduling, removing marijuana entirely from the CSA. You can find action alerts for that at norml.org/act. Here's ours. Here's the one I'm going to say. Oh, it's actually, this is the one I put in. Whoops. Here's ours. There you go. Tell the White House and Congress to support descheduling and conviction relief. Use that action alert. There you go. There will be more bills in the next Congress, of course. Hi, Lauren. I see you. Thank you for mentioning TikTok. As Lauren is mentioning TikTok, I am going to mention, even though you're all watching this on a platform that's not TikTok, will you follow us on TikTok, please? Please. Let me figure out where that link is and then give it to you. Because I put it right here, like this is going to be useful. There we go. Yeah, follow us on TikTok. If you're watching on Instagram, you're going to look for NORML.org. NORML's username on TikTok is NORML.org. Thank you for following us there. And thank you, Kentucky NORML, for posting the latest update on Kentucky's medical cannabis program to their TikTok. NORML shared that update, so you can find that through us. Ben, I wish I knew what you all were talking about. I can see there's another conversation happening that I can't keep up with. There's a lot of false information out there, Jennifer. Oh. It's actually next month. Okay, Nick, thank you. I feel better. Nick, I do have that. Lehigh Valley NORML's annual picnic is tomorrow, September 7th, from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. You can get details about that on Facebook. on NORML's Facebook and on Lehigh Valley NORML's Facebook. I hope you have a blast, Nick. Send me some pictures that are usable. You know what I mean. Christopher, I'm not going to share that, but okay, I'll look for your friend request. There's your, yeah, that's me. Yes, Ben, exactly. Like people who are undocumented don't report crime. Yeah, exactly. People who are afraid of legal consequences don't engage with people who might subject them to legal consequences. Hey, Brian, I don't know what state you're in, but I'm gonna mention your comment. Brian says, I hate Delta 8 THCA products available from smoke shops. It makes me physically sick. North Carolina, sorry. Not good, North Carolina. You're right. Maybe don't buy as you rightly point out, Brian, everyone else, maybe don't buy unregulated stuff because you don't know what's in it. You're welcome, Ben. Thank you, Fusion. That's, yeah, the MORE Act has been presented 3 times. The MORE Act is one of the bills that would remove marijuana from the Federal Controlled Substances Act and allow states to set their own policies without threat of federal interference. We'll keep seeing that bills like that over and over. The first version of the MORE Act was introduced in the Senate by Kamala Harris. Hey, David, on Instagram, I see your question about California's farmers market sales bill. I don't know if Newsom's going to sign it. Can we start pushing for that in Virginia for 2026? We can run an adult use measure that isn't garbage in 2026. I can tell you that. We should stop running the one that we had this year, and then the people are going to bring it back next year, and it's going to be just as bad, and also stand just as little chance of passing. That shouldn't be a bill that sees the light of day in 2026. It shouldn't be the bill that passes. I would like to see Senator Adam Ebbin bring back a bill that is common sense and realistic for how we regulate cannabis in the Commonwealth, and one that is palatable enough to be signed, hopefully with bipartisan measures. But let's get through the election in Virginia first. That's going to tell us what we can really do. Vegas Best Bud is asking, do we know why marijuana prohibition was originally started? Not the myths, the real truth. Yes, Harry Anslinger was super racist. I mean, there's not one person, in my opinion, who's solely. There were a few key players in the original rollout of prohibition, largely tied to racism, xenophobia. So you can read a lot about that on the NORML website. I would encourage you to do so. Oh, I'm already wrong. Cool. Well, this is my show, so go find another one. We've been doing this since 1970, so I think we're entitled to have our own thoughts. Oh, okay. Thank you, Christopher. I love that. You'll have to learn how to spell the word through. Cool. I love that. I don't care about any of this. It's so good. What are you on the fence about? There, I see. Thank you, Samuel. And I'm just going to use your comments. Thank you. Samuel says that Cherokee starts selling. Thank you for that reminder. Cherokee tribal land in in North Carolina. Start selling adult use to the general public tomorrow. Yeah, hey Samuel, if you go, like, take pictures that are legally permissible, please and thank you, um, and send them to me. I'd love to see what that's like. And Christopher, that's something that we are definitely concerned about as well. Police, waiting outside of tribal land to search people. That is super concerning. I guess we'll just all hold our breath and see what happens. It is out of context, Christopher. You're right. Oh, Ben, they hate us. They hate us so much. Uh... uh, good afternoon, Private Lounge. Thank you, Kellyanne, for showing. Thank you, Kellyanne, for giving me the rally info. Kellyanne, will you post the date? And time? You may have, and I'm just not up to it. I haven't scrolled far enough to it yet. Southern Roots, yes. Southern Roots on Instagram says it would be nice if Virginia made it to where smaller farms can make money, but knowing the Commonwealth, I wouldn't hold your breath. It has to, it would require legislation, which we absolutely can do. And smaller businesses have been a part, moving away from the medical structure of the outdated limited licensure model that Virginia adopted from medical years and years and years ago. That is not the licensing model that is in any of the adult use legislation that's moved forward. And so there is a real intent to create economic opportunity for smaller operators in Virginia from those people doing serious policy work on adult use licensing. So yeah, I feel like that will be an integral part of the bill that finally does pass. But Virginians have to stop electing idiots. I mean, that could happen anywhere in any state, but like we have a governor who doesn't care about this issue at all, and is not going to sign any bills. So we can't achieve that goal together until we have a governor who will sign an adult use measure. You'll have the chance to vote for such a governor in 2025, meaning the 2026 General Assembly in Virginia would be the first time that we have a real chance of passing an adult use measure. Dude, you can see it on my profile. It's right there. Read. Stop asking me personal questions. How can we? I know, Wade. I don't know what North Carolina. I don't know what you're going to do in North Carolina. But tell me. I don't want to offer anything that could be construed as legal advice, because it's not. But in many states, let's see if this is the right place to look. I have to open this bin. In many states, a search warrant is required to open a locking container. So buy a locking container. And if it's a half an ounce that's decriminalized, maybe follow some of those guidelines. But like, okay, one of the small ones came out, and that's okay. But like, look, you can buy a little container like this that locks. Look, cannabis is legal in Virginia, but Virginia has an open container law. And so we tell people, if you're going to drive with cannabis in your car, put it in a locked container and put it in the trunk of your vehicle. If your vehicle doesn't have a trunk, put it behind the last row of passenger seating. your glove box, not by the driver. So you're going to want to look at your state's laws to make sure you know how to best navigate them, but look, make good choices. I'm just going to put that up there, Radica. Thank you, Kelly Ann. Thank you, Kelly Ann. Thank you, Kelly Ann. Okay, thank you, Kelly Ann. There it is. The rally in Harrisburg is October 1st. Thanks. I do think that is on our Facebook. I'm going to add that to our events listing in this show. Not today, though, because I will break my stream. Yeah, a lockbox. Exactly, Wade. You can get a lockbox for like 25 bucks on Amazon. You can buy these all over the place. It's a tattoo on my. I have many tattoos, but this one, that's a five-legged goat from a mural in the Contemporary Hotel, Walt Disney World, and that is a seagull. It's the logo for the old Walt Disney World Village. My grandfather worked at the village. Okay. Thanks for asking. Yeah, Brian. I bet it is. Yeah, Brian, that probably is scarier. Thanks, Ben, for bringing this up. Ben says U.S. Senator Tom Tillis is cannabis friendly, calling for a fundamental comprehensive cannabis policy. Tillis is from North Carolina. Yep, that's great. Now get your state legislators to do it. I don't know what kind of lockbox Al Gore used. You're welcome, Christopher. I'm glad. Oh my. Oh. Okay, weirdos. Let's do some news, shall we? All right, here's what happened. Do them in order. Here's what happened this week in weed. Nebraska voters will get the chance to vote on medical cannabis access. So they have two ballot measures in Nebraska. They are doing two ballot measures so as not to violate the single subject rule in that state. They've had issue before with this, and so they have one measure that essentially legalizes possession and use of medical cannabis, and then another measure that would promulgate a retail market. So these will be on the ballot in Nebraska. This and all the other measures are in NORML's Election Central. You can find that at norml.org/election. But yeah, you're going to see in Nebraska the Patient Protection Act and the Medical Cannabis Regulation Act language or questions on your ballot. Good job, Nebraska. In the news this week in week. Ben, that's what we say in the weekend weed read. That's the preview text line in the weekend weed read is this week in weed. Oh, here's what happened this week in weed. I wrote it, so you think I'd know. There we go. Ma'ams, there's so much to learn. There's so much to learn about. Please don't learn any of it, but there's so much. Yeah, that's Disney is where my first career was. I was there for about 10 years. I was born and raised in Florida, specifically Orlando. I guess I shouldn't say Florida because that sounds gross. Orlando is a different part of the state. It's like its own country. And I was a third generation cast member. It's like destiny. Ben, Christopher, Ben, you should definitely work. Yeah, absolutely. Do it. Volunteer for the election in Nebraska, however you can, either supporting the campaign, helping to get out the vote as an election worker. Definitely do it. In Virginia, I think it's at home. I bet it's not. I bet it's in my office and I just don't know where it is. But during the pandemic, my partner volunteered to be an election worker. And why is it not here? I wanted to be here so badly. They may have brought home a pen. I'm sorry, it's not a pen. It's an official marking device. They have pens that say official marking device on them. It's one of my favorite weird, like, pieces of political memorabilia that we have. So yes, please do that. And then if you have official marking devices, I'd like one. Thanks. Oh, look at that. Thanks, Mr. Jaggers, for sharing that info. Yes, swamplands, Wade. Yes, ma'am, that is exactly correct. No, Christopher, smoking a joint near a polling area would probably constitute public consumption and is likely illegal in your state. Or you could be at a school and then it's like extra illegal. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Someone on Instagram joined, and I like your name. That's all. I like your user ID. Canna Cape Cod, DC. Cape Cod and Washington, DC. Love it. David, you're asking if NORML would support a bill in Virginia that includes small sales / farmer market sales and involved a label similar to selling pickles in Virginia, quote, not tested by the state. Probably not. I mean, just to be completely honest, like, no shade. Also, like, we don't light pickles on fire and inhale them. I guess you could get botulism, if you ate bad pickles, but here we are. Thanks for asking. Oh, that's cool, Radhika. I love that you're hosting a voting barbecue. All right. Great. All right, let's talk about the big one and the big news of the week, but also, like, let's talk about it honestly. So here we go. This week, was it this? Yeah, this week. Earlier this week, former President Trump made statements saying that no one should be arrested for, like, low-level marijuana possession. Great, we all agree on that. Super. He also predicts appears to be of the opinion, according to his statements, that Amendment 3 in Florida will pass. He does not, however, in his statements, he does not explicitly state that he intends to vote for Amendment 3, which someone had asked him this question a few weeks ago, and he said he would let people know how he intended to vote fairly soon. And I guess this is still in the realm of fairly soon, but he didn't answer that question in his social media post. What he did say in his social media post is, quote, personal amounts of marijuana will be legalized for adults with Amendment 3. We do not need to ruin lives and waste taxpayers' dollars arresting adults with personal amounts of it on them. His post also implied that he would prefer a legal market over an unregulated one. But again, it did not explicitly state whether he would be voting in favor of Amendment 3. In some follow-up comments, he added that the amendment's success would be, quote, very good for Florida. And he also lauded the use of medical cannabis, saying, quote, I've had doctors telling me that it's been absolutely amazing. While Trump has previously expressed support for the use of cannabis for medical purposes, he's also been critical of states' decision to legalize adult use, opining that in some instances, legalization has led to, quote, big problems. Is this perhaps him evolving on the issue? Was the Yes on 3 campaign successful in moving him along? I hope so. Anyhow, there you go. Here's Samuel's hot take on that. Everyone says that about every politician saying anything ever, so we'll just put up that. Christopher. I can't, Christopher. I can't. Okay, Mayor Gritty, first of all of this is wild. MSOs are not allowed to capture NORML chapters, full stop. But I see where you're coming from. I understand your concerns. You can email me directly at chapters@norml.org. I will tell you that a NORML chapter, no more than 50% of their board may be involved in the legal regulated cannabis market. So if you own a dispensary, if you work at a dispensary, whatever, stakeholder of a dispensary, no more than 50% of your board can do that per our guidelines. I will also tell you that NORML chapters are all independent entities. They're supposed to adhere to our guidelines. So if you think that that chapter has been advocating for legislation that leads to arrests for consumers, please let me know. Personal amounts is subjective, Woodyard. The way for it to not be subjective is to specify an amount. So you can do that in a number of different ways. I recommend codifying that. In Virginia, 1 ounce or less on your person in public is presumed to be personal use amounts, but in your home, as long as there are not signs of possession with intent to distribute, then you can possess essentially as much as you want in your home, as long as it is for personal use. Because believe it or not, in that instance, one is generally able to determine rather easily if it is in fact for personal use or for distribution. There we go. Hey, Fusion. Fusion says, but a politician will easily say that they are against cannabis. So regardless of the reason, if they say they are for it, that's better than saying they are against it, no matter how they really feel. I don't disagree with that sentiment, Fusion. What's more important than, I think, what is most important rather than how one feels about it, is what they will do um, once they're elected, whether they're someone who signs a measure into law, or there's someone who votes for a measure's passage. So, like a state legislator or a governor or a president, right? Those are the sort of two levels we're looking at here, and that's why those are the types of questions we ask in our voter guide. It's more important for us to know what you will do if elected. What do you personally think about cannabis? I don't care. I care how you're going to vote when that bill is before you. That is what's important. Everyone should think about that. If you're ever, like bird dogging candidates, if you're trying to get them to answer on the record, which I highly recommend doing that, don't be a jerk. But yeah, get out your phone, get the answer on video, but ask them meaningful questions. Don't ask them what they think about cannabis. Ask them how they would vote on a type of bill if it were before them. And then do not accept the answer of, well, I'd have to read the bill. That's lame. Typically, you get Republicans that offer that answer. Democrats are generally going to be like, yeah, I support this or I support that. But the cop-out answer is, well, I'd have to see the bill. So be wary. Mm. So I'm reading this conversation here between a few people on YouTube. Mr. Jaggers is talking about President or Vice President Harris. Mr. Jaggers proposes that Vice President Harris should one-up Trump by promising that as president she would work for descheduling. She introduced the MORE Act in the Senate. When she was in the Senate, she introduced that. She has gone on the record many times saying that no one should be in jail for marijuana, and that it's time to legalize marijuana. And I would love, like you said, if she would go on the record more forcefully. I think all of us at NORML would like to hear like the next sentiment out of these. Again, marijuana is not generally like a kitchen table topic for voters or those on the campaign trail, but it would be great. Yeah, I'd love to see that one-up happen. And then thank you for pointing out, Fusion, that yes, on Smoke the Vote, Vice President Harris does have an A grade. She does have an A grade. Brian, if you want to email your question to legal@norml.org, then Keith will see that first and can then send that around to some attorneys in that particular state to maybe take a look at what that's about. That's right, Ben. Was it tax stamp related? All of it sounds weird. Send it to us. Let's take a look. Hey, Rostaman on Instagram asks if marijuana is moved to Schedule 3 federally. Will I be able to use my HSA card to buy my medical marijuana? I think no. So I think that answer is no. It's probably up to your HSA though. All right, let's. I have two more newses. Just 4 newses this week. You know how everyone loves a clinical trial. Well, great. Here's another one. Hi, Richard in Detroit. Okay, this clinical trial looked at CBD in comparison to a placebo, and this was a 5-week. So please post a 5-week clinical trial assessing the use of CBD versus placebo on study participants' quality of life. And so subjects in this trial consumed either CBD or a placebo for 5-week intervals. And lo and behold, 5-week administration of CBD, but not of placebo, resulted in an improvement of the Epworth Sleepiness Scale, is what it's called, score, as well as improvement in fatigue and vitality and psychological well-being, according to investigators. So, and they, okay. Did I read the whole thing? Great. Yay. Go CBD clinical trial. Thank you, Brian, for sharing that with me. Appreciate it. And then one last news. American Pool Table Doctors. That is quite a name. All right, and this last one we're going to talk about is Radhika. You're going to like this one. Endometriosis patients report quality of life improvements following cannabis use. I'm sure this comes as a surprise to literally no one, but nearly 1 in 5 patients with endometriosis report using cannabis to effectively manage their pain or other related symptoms. German investigators surveyed over 900 patients with endometriosis, and consistent with prior analyses, a significant percentage of the survey respondents did acknowledge using cannabis products, and most said that they were highly effective at mitigating their symptoms. Let's see. Researchers determined that, quote, cannabis was rated as the most effective self-management strategy to reduce symptom intensity. Also, about 90% of participants were able to decrease their pain medication intake. There we go. Those studies' findings are consistent with those from Canada and Australia, which similarly reported that cannabis relieves endometriosis-related pain and other symptoms. So again, David, I see your question. Sorry, sorry it took me so long to answer it because I thought it was the one from before. David on Instagram asks if NORML would support a bill in Virginia that passes adult use sales but removes home cultivation and or adult sharing. No, absolutely no. That's not going to happen. Adult sharing is that's an integral, and personal cultivation. Those are both integral components of legalization in Virginia, and those aren't going anywhere. Richard asks, first of all, thanks for watching. Richard on Twitter is asking if we have student chapters of NORML. Yes, we do. So typically what will happen is someone will want to start a chapter on a campus, a college campus, and we will refer that student group to the state chapter so that they can be a campus representation of the state chapter. Rather than starting an entirely new chapter that has to have a bank account and has to file as a 501c4, just do the paperwork for your school and be a local chapter of your state chapter. We do that if you or someone you know wants to do that, you can just email me at chapters@norml.org and I can connect you with the people for that state. Yes, Mike, we have a lot of, Mike says, my mom's texting me something about New York. Yes, we have a lot of content about Parkinson's. I think it might be in clinical apps as well. It is. We have a section on Parkinson's in clinical applications for cannabis and cannabinoids, a review of the recent scientific literature. Available in paperback in the NORML store at store.norml.org. Available in the Kindle, the Amazon Kindle store as an ebook, and available on our website as a web page, and each section is available in PDF form on our website. Parkinson's. Hello, up late in Greenville, South Carolina. Thanks for joining us. Radhika, yes, so many countries, so many other countries are doing research, but the most cannabis research is now done in the United States, which is a shift, but it is, the most research is now done in the US. Ben, thank you so much. I hope to meet you as well. Richard asked if we have any student chapters at an HBCU, and I do not believe that at this point in time we do. I think our only student chapter right now is a chapter of Missouri NORML. Ben, I am in Richmond, Virginia, but maybe I'll come up. I am not, no, only in Virginia, Christopher, not. Oh, okay. Wow, up late. That, yeah, first of all, I was like, oh God, please, not something. But I see what you're. It's like not something new and gross. I see what you're asking. So up late is asking if having these unregulated Delta products, am I interpreting that correctly, hinder traditional legalization? I think that I think it can, and it has the potential to go either way. So unregulated products pose risks to consumers, full stop. It's not really up for debate. Not at NORML anyhow. And what we see study after study after study is that these types of products are contaminated, are not accurately labeled, and people are experiencing significant adverse effects. So I'll use Virginia as an example. When these products hit the market, it kind of blew up, and were available at every gas station. This is around the time that legalization was taking effect, and so there were these reports, news reports coming out, articles coming out, like THC calls to marijuana calls, pot calls to poison control or exploding. And we were able to connect with the largest poison control entity in the state. And we're like, hey, could you maybe ask when people call what they consumed instead of just saying, oh, it's marijuana? Because if you don't ask them, you don't know what they bought. Turns out it wasn't. It didn't have anything to do with legalization. It was all this unregulated garbage. And that's where now they have the balanced reporting in it. So yes, I think that having these unregulated products widely available, can bring a negative light to legalization efforts when it's not an honest, factual, nuanced conversation about it. But it also can be helpful to be like, hey, you know what? Look at all these other studies that have been done that as to what states want these products, or where are these products popular, and these products are popular in states that don't have legal access. I feel like we just reported on this. Was it maybe last week? Let me just find it. Let me find that for you. I think it was last week's news. If it wasn't last week, it was the week before. And this isn't the first time, yes, how could I forget? Because I love this image so much. Okay, here we go. We published this on August 29th, and states without legal access to cannabis experience elevated rates of poison control incidents involving Delta 8 products. So it talks, and then it also references other reports that we've done on this in other publications, but it is more common to find these products, to manufacture these products in states that don't have legal access. So then if you have legislators who were thinking about this from a pragmatic policy approach, who are thinking about it from a harm reduction or public safety, public health approach, then they can say, okay, well, if we had safe legal access, then people would stop buying this garbage and getting hurt. So that was thanks for the question. The answer was yes and no. Ben, where are you? Ben says they actually passed cultivation here before they passed retail. Like personal cultivation, because that's what happened in Virginia. We have personal cultivation. We don't have adult use retail. Yeah, you say safe, convenient, and affordable is what we say at NORML. Safe, convenient, and affordable. David, I want to bring David. I like your comment here, and I think there's some context that is important here. So David on Instagram says, "I know it sounds silly, but watching the Jushi lobbyist argue against outdoor cultivation in the bill makes a lot think home cultivation could be a target of theirs. I assure you, it is not. They are talking about that on a commercial scale level, and there are." Look, can you grow weed outside in Virginia? Sure. Can you cultivate it on a large scale and have a quality product? No. No, you can't. You cannot. What you can cultivate outdoors in Virginia is biomass that then has to be heavily remediated. So there's that. It's not to say you can't have a great small farm where you can tend to your plants and keep them from being full of cornworms, of mold, yeast, that you're definitely going to remediate your soil before you put anything in the ground. Yes, those things can absolutely happen. But when you're talking about a large, that's what I understand to be the context in which they were discussing this, is large-scale cultivation. Yeah, so no one in this state no operator in this state will be lobbying against personal cultivation. It's not happening. Because who would they have to contend with? Yeah, I think it's fine to say you can. Look, someone says deschedule or bust. This is not an either or. You can do both. Minnesota, got it. Thank you. No, I do not, Christopher. I do not. Thanks for asking. April, I would repeat that last part, but I don't know what last part. I wasn't looking. I have to look at a different screen to see the Instagram comments, so I missed it. But April, let me know what you wanted me to talk about before. And hi, Evan, I see you. All right. Oh, look at, and here we are again. For some reason, it's after 5 o'clock, and we're still doing the show. Okay. Also, April, I know you're watching on Instagram, but this live stream is cataloged. It stays on our YouTube. It stays on Facebook. It stays on LinkedIn, and it stays on Twitter. It just doesn't stay on Instagram. So you can always go. You can also just email me at normal@normal.org and say, hey, answer this question, or rewind it on YouTube. All right. This has been super. David, I want to read your question. It would start with pushing fear about cannabis getting to kids from home cultivation and sharing. Then a push to have only cannabis. Yeah, it's not going to happen. I'm not. I say this with all certainty. We're not going down that road in Virginia. It's not happening. The toothpaste is not getting back in the tube. And the operators in Virginia genuinely are not opposed to personal cultivation. It would be like Publix being like, oh, we're going to lobby against people growing tomatoes at home. Thank you, Christopher, for asking his favorite question to ask. What is my favorite type of cannabis? My favorite type of cannabis, Christopher, as you well know, is legal cannabis. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I have a few quick notes, and then we'll all go enjoy our weekends, hopefully. I want to let everyone know about a few things coming up. Let's start with tomorrow is Lehigh Valley NORML's annual picnic. That is Saturday, September 7th from 11 to 7. You can find out information about that on Lehigh Valley NORML's Facebook. We also shared that to NORML's Facebook in the events section. I believe it is a potluck, family-friendly event. Now, on Sunday, one of our Florida chapters, Suncoast NORML, hosts their podcast that streams live on YouTube called The Rotation. So catch The Rotation by Suncoast NORML Sundays at 11 a.m. Eastern on YouTube. And coming up next week, we have two lives, two of them next week. Let's see your joke, Christopher. So on, no, stop calling me. On Tuesday, September 10th. Look at the calendar so I say the right date this time. Tuesday, September 10th at 4 p.m. Paul Armentano and I will do a special episode of Live with NORML to talk specifically about federal marijuana rescheduling. So please join us on Tuesday. Bring all of your burning questions. Paul is going to talk about, the number of times we've been through this process before, what to expect, and why administrative hearings are not only expected, but they can be a good thing. Boom, boom, boom. Got him. Then, of course, in December, this one is a little ways out, but that's okay because you need to plan for this type of heavy lifting. 2024 NORML Key West Legal Seminar is December 5th through 7th at the Pier House Resort and Spa in, that's right, Key West, Florida. Come hang out. And if you're an attorney, we have CLEs for you. Our legal seminars are fully accredited in every state that requires CLEs for the practicing attorneys. If you're not an attorney or you just don't need those CLEs, guess what? We got you there too because we have a discounted rate for you. Check all of that out and more at normal.org/Key West. All of the Yogi Bear content that's happening right now, yes, thank you very much for all of that. David, you are so welcome. Thank you for asking those questions. I appreciate it. April, you are also so welcome. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate your feedback. Did I do all of the events and the news? I did. Hey, tomorrow at 9 a.m., NORML's weekend weed read starts delivering. If you want to get the weekend weed read in your inbox, you should. You can do that at norml.org/subscribe. Make sure you check the weekend weed read box so you never miss not an episode, whatever. You never miss whatever of it. Issue, we'll call it an issue. Also, you can get our regular email on Thursdays. Get them both. Make me so happy. Super. And we'll do two more things. Hey, NORML Smoke the Vote. Thank you, Ben. NORML Smoke the Vote is the voter guide for not only legalizing marijuana, but hey, voting for people who aren't terrible on cannabis policy. Garbage in, garbage out, friends. So make good choices and remember that elections have consequences. Please make your plan to vote and make it a smart one. Make sure all of your friends and family are headed to the polls as well. And if you are not following NORML on TikTok, I really, really need you to. I really need you to. Okay? It's norml.org on TikTok. So make sure you follow us there, and I will start creating more content for you there if you do. All right, friends, this has been a blast. Before we say goodbye, please, please, please hit that like, follow, or subscribe button so you never miss when NORML goes live. We try to do this every week, at least once. Hey, everyone, this has been great. Have a super awesome weekend, and I'll see you back here next time. Bye-bye.